Good morning, class. Please stand. Let's have first a prayer. Our Heavenly Father, guide us. Amen. Before you will take your seats, pick up some pieces of paper under your chairs. Very well, class. You may now take your seats. Class monitor, kindly check the attendance. Thank you. So before we proceed, for this morning, I have here our rules for this session. Everyone, kindly read. Rules for this session. A. Listen attentively to the discussion. B. Participate in the activities. C. Express your ideas. D. Respect on the opinions of others. And E. Raise your right hand. Wait until recognized by the teacher before speaking up. And lastly, F. I will always be time conscious. Can I expect that from you, class? Very well. So, for this morning, we will have an activity. I will divide the class into 4 groups. This will be the group 1, row 1. For the row 2 will be the group 2. For the row 3 will be the group 3. And the last row will be the group 4. We will have an activity. This activity is entitled word search. I will be posting a word puzzle, and all you have to do is to identify the words in the word puzzle. So I will be distributing materials to utilize in this activity. For the group 1, for the group 2, for the group 3, for the group 4. So now, I will only give you 30 seconds to do the activity. The first group who accumulated, or the group who accumulated the most highest number of words will be declared as our winner. Is there any question, class? Okay, your time starts now. Time's up. Everyone, I will collect all your answer sheets. Let's check your answers. Can I have group 1, 2, 3, and 4? So I will be the one to paste it on the board. For the group 2. Everyone, kindly listen. Okay, so now let's check your answer if your answers are all correct. Key answer for this activity: river, oceans, lakes, seas, canals, Pacific, water, Arctic, fresh water, and rain. So let's check. So who will be the winner for this activity? For the group 1, we have rain, correct. We have fresh water, correct. We have Arctic, correct. We have river, correct. Oceans, water, Pacific, seas, canals, and lakes. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 points for group 1. Next, for the group 2, they have rivers, river, oceans, canals, water, fresh water, lakes, seas, Pacific, Arctic, and rain. So let's count how many score they got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They also have 10 points. So, very good, group 2. Let's proceed to group 3. They have river, oceans, rain, Arctic, water, Pacific, seas, lakes, fresh water, and canals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They got 10 points. And lastly, the group 4. They have fresh water, river, rain, ocean, Arctic, lakes, water, seas, Pacific, and canals. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. So, every group got the perfect score. A round of applause to everyone. So, now class, based on the words pasted on the board that you've answered a while ago, what do you think do they have in common? The river, oceans, lakes, seas, canals, Pacific, water, Arctic, fresh water, and rain. Yes, Jenny Flor. Correct, they are form of waters. So from river to rain, they are forms of water. In our next activity, you will identify the different facts of water. So, are you ready for our next activity, class? Very good. So, with your same group, we will have this activity, the fact or bluff. So, I will be stating statements, and all you have to do is to identify if the statement is a fact or a bluff. Then I will be distributing these flashcards for each group. For the group 1, for the group 2, for the group 3, and for the group 4. Are you ready, class? Okay. So now, let's start with the first statement. Water can't be recycled. Water can't be recycled. Is it a fact or a bluff? Raise your answers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your answers are all correct. It's a bluff. It's can. Water can be recycled. Water can be recycled. Next statement. A lot can live in one drop of water. A lot can live in one drop of water. Raise your answers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The answer is, it's a fact. So everybody got the correct answer. A lot can live in one drop of water. Next. Water could be the key to finding life. Water could be the key to finding life. Is it a fact or a bluff? Raise your answers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The answer is, it's a fact. So water could be the key to finding life. Everybody got the correct answers. Very good. Next. Most fresh water is in rivers. Most fresh water is in rivers. Is it a fact or a bluff? Raise your answers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your answers are all correct. It's a bluff. So, most fresh water is in ice, not in rivers. Last statement for this activity. The largest quantities of water are in oceans. The largest quantities of waters are in oceans. Is it a fact or a bluff? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Raise your answers. Your answers are all correct. It's a fact. So, the largest quantities of water is in oceans. So, everybody got the correct answer from group 1, 2, 3, and 4. A round of applause to everyone. So, based on our activity, the first activity and the second activity, what do you think is the importance of water in our body? What do you think is the importance? Yes, Connie Flor. Correct, to prevent our body for dehydration. Because the purpose of water in our body to maintain its hydration, not to be dehydrated. Correct, very well said, Connie Flor. Another, how about the importance of water in our environment? Yes, Leomar. Correct. It is very essential to life. Knowing that a single drop of water, a lot can live to it. Okay, so based on the ideas and our activities a while ago, what do you think is our topic for this morning? What do you think? Yes, Juliet. Correct. It's all about the water cycle. So, everyone, kindly listen. So, for this morning, we will discuss about the water cycle. So, before anything else, I have here our lesson objectives. So, let's read our lesson objectives for this session. Lesson objectives. At the course of the lesson, learners are expected to A. You will identify the different types of water processes that affects the water cycle. B. Describe the process of the water cycle. You will describe the process, how this water cycle do its process or its function in our environment to us living organism. Letter C. Make a slogan in conserving water. And lastly, letter D. Appreciate the importance of water cycle. So this is our lesson objectives for this morning. So before anything else, I have here a box. Okay. Inside this box is the model of our topic for this morning, the water cycle. Each group from Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, and Group 4 are allowed to come here in front, observe the model within 30 seconds. Do you understand, class? Very well. Now, I will open the box for you. Everyone, refrain from shouting. Thank you. So, let's proceed to Group 1. Group 1, you come here in front and observe the model. Thank you, Group 1. You may now take your seat. For the Group 2, thank you, Group 2. You may now take your seat. For the Group 3, thank you, Group 3. You may now take your seat. For the last group, Group 4, you may now take your seat. Okay, so you already observe and identify the process of this water cycle. However, you will discover the different types. As you observe, there are arrows with blank space. You will discover what will be its water processes to put in this model. Okay, so let's set aside this model. As I've said earlier, you will identify and discover the different types of water processes that affects the water cycle. Now, we will have another activity. This activity is entitled Minute to Know It. So, with your same group, I will be distributing fact sheets and materials to be utilized. All you have to do is to have your group collaboration within 2 minutes. And after that 2 minutes, you will choose one representative to represent your output in the class for only 1 minute. Is there any question about my instructions? Is my instructions clear to you, class? Okay, very well. Now, let's do the activity. For the Group 1, for the Group 2, for the Group 3, for the Group 4. Okay, so your time starts now. Utilize the time in order for you to have your ideas are all comprehend. It's already time. I will collect all the materials. Can I have group 1, 2, 3, and 4? I will be the one to paste it on the board. Okay, everyone, kindly listen. Eyes here in front. Okay, so where's the representative for group 1? Thank you, group 1. So your group identified the two types of the water processes of the water cycle, the evaporation and transpiration. Now, before I add on the ideas of group 1, you will identify where does this process occur in our model. So, it was stated that evaporation, when water from oceans, seas, rivers, and lakes change into water vapor due to the heat of the sun. In our model, from 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Yes, Mary Joy. It's number 5, correct. It's number 5. Next, the transpiration. Based on the ideas provided by the group 1, when water vapor is released from the leaves of plants also due to the heat of the sun. So water is being released from the plants. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Yes, Sonny Boy. Number 2, correct. Here it is. Okay, so now I will set aside this one. So, evaporation and transpiration process are similar but slightly different. So, if we say evaporation process, it allows the water to evaporate from the atmosphere, changing water into gas or tiny droplets due to the presence of the sun, because the sun contains radiant energy or heat energy that will sustain the chemical change of this process. So, same as with the transpiration process, it allows water vapor from the plants to evaporate through our environment by the form of tiny droplets or a gas. But the differences between the two, as I've said, they are slightly different. The differences from the two is the location where the process happened, where the evaporation are in the forms of bodies of water in the land, while transpiration it occurs from the leaves of plants. As you observe in our model, number 5, oceans. The oceans, the arrow straight from the atmosphere. Same as with our number 2, which is the transpiration. The arrow is from the leaves to the atmosphere. So, is there any question about evaporation and transpiration? So, what will happen to these tiny droplets and gas after this process? So, to answer that question, let's proceed to group 2. By the way, a round of applause to group 1. Group 2, present your output. Thank you, Group 2. So, Group 2 identified the condensation process. The question a while ago is what will happen to the gas or the tiny droplets after the process of evaporation and transpiration. Then, it will go to the process, or it will formulate or form in the process of condensation. When water vapor turns into tiny droplets high up in the cool portion of the atmosphere, forming clouds. So, the tiny droplets that is from the evaporation and transpiration, they will go to the atmosphere and form a clouds. So, let's go back to our model. Let's identify where does this condensation occur. Is it 1, 3, or 4? Yes, Cecilia. Correct. Number 1. Number 1. So now, we have identified the evaporation, transpiration, and condensation process. So what will happen in the condensation process if the clouds can no longer hold the tiny droplets? What will happen? So that question will be answered by the group 3. Let's proceed to group 3. Thank you, group 3. So, they identified the precipitation process. It was said that when clouds get heavy with too much water droplets, that the cloud could no longer hold together. The water falls to earth in the form of rain, snow, sleet, or hail, filling up bodies of water. So, the clouds can no longer hold the tiny droplets. It will undergo to the next process, which is the precipitation. So, the water droplets will go back in the land. So, in a form of rain, snow, sleet, or hail. So, let's go back to our model. So, where does this precipitation occur? Is it from the tree or in number 4? Yes, boy. Correct. Number 3. The precipitation process. As you observe, the arrow from the atmosphere to the bodies of water or in the land. So, is there any question? Correct. Okay, thank you. So, next, let's proceed to group 4. So, group 4, kindly present your output. Thank you, group 4. So, in addition, group 4 identified the melting process. When ice and snow change into liquid form due to the heat from the sun, they flow into lakes, rivers, and oceans as well. So, in our model, the last type of water processes in our water cycle is the melting. So, number 4. Okay. Is there any question about our discussion from the group 1, 2, 3, and 4? Is it clear to you the process, the entire process of the water cycle? So, let's recap. In our model, as you observe, first, it will process through the evaporation, where the evaporation process, water change into gas or tiny droplets because of the presence of the sun, where sun contains radiant energy, heat energy, to sustain the chemical process or to give its process to change water into tiny droplets. The transpiration process is the presence of the leaves where water is observed. Because of the presence of the sun, with its heat energy and radiant energy, it allows the water to change into gas or tiny droplets to move in the atmosphere. Next is the condensation process. When tiny droplets go up in our atmosphere, they will forming a clouds. which is the condensation process. If these clouds could no longer hold the tiny droplets, too much of these tiny droplets, it will proceed in the next process, which is the precipitation process. The precipitation process, the tiny droplets will go back in the land in a form of snow, rain, sleet, or hail. It will fill up the bodies of water. Lastly is the melting process. The melting process occurs because of the presence of the sun. So aside from the presence of the sun, what do you think is the factor that could affect the melting process in the North and in the South Pole? Yes, Leomar. Correct. Because of global warming. Because of global warming, the melting process also affected. Why? Why does the global warming affects the melting process in the North Pole and South Pole? Yes, Mayet. Correct. Because of the presence of the CFC or the chlorofluorocarbon that contains heat enough to melt the ice in the North Pole and in the South Pole. Is there any question, clarifications about our discussion about in your activities today? There's none? Okay, so I have a question for you. So I will remove this one first. I will remove this one. So we have discussed the different water processes that affects the water cycle. So what do you think is the factor that could give the continuous process of this water cycle? Or what do you think is the present factor that could affect the continuous process from the beginning until the end, and it will go back to the beginning until the end? Because of what? Yes, Leah. Because of the sun. Correct. So from group 1, 2, 3, and 4, you have identified that the sun has its big responsibility in order to maintain the water cycle process. So in addition to our discussion, everyone, kindly listen up. Water cycle is significant to life because all life depends on it. It is for survival. Water is continuously filtered, recycled, and refreshed in the Earth's water cycle. So, water cycle is very important because it is very essential to life. It gives life. Knowing that one single drop of water, a lot of organisms can live to it. So, do you understand, class? So, based on this phrase, water cycle is significant to life because all life depends on it. For survival, water is continuously filtered, recycled, and refreshed in the water cycle process. You identify that the water cycle undergoes different water processes, and it also undergo in filtered, recycled, and refreshed. You as a student, me as a teacher, we as a community, how can we take good care of our water? How can we take good care of our water? Yes, China Lee. Correct, by conserving water. By conserving water, we can give or show that we value water. Knowing that water that we consume today undergoes different processes. Speaking of which, conserving water, with your the same group, we will have another activity. Do you like another activity, class? Very well. So, with group 1, 2, 3, and 4, we will have this activity. I will take this one. Make a slogan about conserving water. So, I will be distributing materials to be utilized in this activity. And you will be given only 2 minutes to do the activity for your group collaboration. and 1 minute to present your output in the class. Okay, class? So, for the group 1, 2, 3, and 4. But remember, you will be graded in this criteria provided. Everyone, kindly listen up. So, the criteria for this activity. Cooperation, for 15 points. All members participated equally. For 10 points, some members participated. For 5 points, not all the members participated. For the next category, presentation, for 15 points, presented clearly and creatively. For 10 points, presented adequately. For 5 points, presented unsatisfactorily. For the last category, the content, the information given by the students are very comprehensible. For 10 points, the information given by the students is understandable but lacks coherence. For 5 points, the information given by the students is not comprehensible and misleading. So, do you understand our criteria? 15 points, 10 points, and 5 points. Now, you will do the activity. Your time starts now. Work with your groups. Work with your groups. It's already time. Time's up. Where's my watch? Okay, so, can I collect the activity sheets? So, let's remove this and then put this one here. So, I will be the one to paste your output in the board. For the group 4. For the group 3. For the group 1. So I will remove this one. Okay, representative from group 1, present your work. Thank you, group 1. Next group, group 2. Thank you, group 2. Next group, group 3. Thank you, group 3. Next group, group 4. Thank you, group 4. So I will reread all your activities. So, for the group 1, make a slogan about conserving water. They make, let's always be mindful to our environment and natural resources. Every drop counts. A round of applause to group 1. For the group 2, simple way of showing that we respect the environment is using water properly. A round of applause to group 2. For group 3, save water today or tomorrow you will pay. A round of applause to group 3. For the group 4, water is important to life, so be gentle to it. So, a round of applause to group 4. The winner for this activity will be declared tomorrow. For group 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, can I take this one out in the board? Did you enjoy our activity today, class? Very good. So, I have first a question before we proceed. So, based on our lesson and the activities, what do you think is the how can we take good care of our water cycle? By, yes, Connie Floor, by conserving water cycle or by conserving water. So, how about the importance of water in our environment? What do you think is the importance of water in our environment? Yes, Jenny Floor. Correct. Water is very essential to life. So, in addition to the answer of Jenny Floor and Connie Floor, I have here a statement. Water cycle is extremely important process because it ensures the availability of water for all living organisms and regulates weather patterns on our planets. If water didn't naturally recycle itself, we could run out of clean water, which is essential to life. So, as a student, and me as a teacher, how can we show that we respect water? In a simple way. In a simple way. Yes, Jonard. Correct. By using water properly. So, let's always put in our mind that water is very important. So, as a person, an individual, we should always build self-discipline by using water properly. So, to change or to have change in the next generation and for them to continue to consume the clean water, let's start from ourselves to build self-discipline by using water properly. So, is there any questions, clarifications? There's none. So, let's proceed. So, who can give me one type of water process in the water cycle? Yes, Jenny Floor. Correct, the evaporation. Next. Yes, Connie Floor. The transpiration. Correct. Another. Yes, Kevin. The condensation. Correct. Yes, Leomar. Another type. Yes, Leomar. The melting. The last one. Yes, Genevieve. The precipitation. So you have identified the different types or the different 5 types of water process. The 5 types of water process are the evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, and melting. So, to test if you really understand our discussion for this morning, we will have a quiz. So, I will distribute answer sheets to each group. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, I have here sets of questions. Refrain from cheating, class. Okay. You may now start answering. Refrain from cheating. Mind your own papers. And afterwards, we will check your answers. It's already time. Let's check your answers. Exchange your papers with your seatmates. So number 1, what type of water process, and by the way, put corrected by and a signature to the paper that you are checking. Understand? Okay. Again, number 1, what type of water process that allows water turned into gas? Correct. Evaporation. Transpiration. Number 2, what type of water process a vapor is released from the leaves of plants also due to the heat of the sun? Correct, it's transpiration. Next, number 3, what type of water process ice and snow change into liquid form due to the heat from the sun? Correct, it's melting from solid to liquid process. Number 4, what type of water process when oceans, seas, rivers, and lakes change into water vapor? It's evaporation. Correct. Number 5, what type of water process the product is rain, snow, sleet, or hail filling up the bodies of water? It's precipitation. Correct. Number 6, what type of water process water vapor turns into tiny droplets high up in the cool portion of the atmosphere, forming clouds? Number 6, yes, correct, it's condensation. Next, number 7, what factor that affects the water cycle process allowing it to continue to process or its process? What? It's the presence of the sun. Okay, correct. Number 8, what type of water process clouds get heavy with too much water droplets that the clouds could no longer hold together? The water falls to earth. Correct, it's precipitation. So for the last number 9 and 10 for 2 points, what do you think is the importance of water cycle in the environment? So I will read the answer in our answer key. Water cycle is extremely important process because it ensures the availability of water for all living organisms and regulates weather patterns on our planets. If water didn't naturally recycle itself, we could run out of clean water, which is essential to life. Okay, so count all the correct answers of your classmates. And return the papers to the honors. Pass it here in front. Can I have it? Can I have it? Okay, so let me check your papers. Very good. So most of you got the perfect score. A round of applause to each and everyone. So before anything else, kindly arrange your chairs from group 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, kindly arrange. Now, eyes on the board. Before we proceed, is there any questions? Do you have any doubt? None? Very well. So before we proceed, let's go back to our lesson objectives. If we hit or get our lesson objectives today, let's reread the objectives. Lesson objectives. At the course of the lesson, the learners are expected to: did you identify the different types of water processes? Of course. Number 2 or letter B. Did you describe the process of the water cycle? Did you describe the process of the water cycle? Did you identify? Did you understand? Correct. Very good. Next, letter C. Did you make a slogan in conserving water? Yes. So the winner for our slogan competition or our game a while ago will be declared tomorrow. Lastly, did you appreciate the importance of water cycle? Did you feel the importance or the presence of the water cycle in our environment? How the water cycle affects our life as a living organism in our environment? Yes, you already identify its importance. So, we hit our lesson objectives for today's session or for today's lesson. So, before anything else, for your assignment, we will have today's agreement. Everyone, please be aware and be guided for our assignment. Agreement. In a one whole sheet of paper, make an essay that is all about conserving water. A while ago, you make a group activity that is a slogan in conserving water. For your assignment, individually, you will make an essay about conserving water. How can you express yourself by giving its value in conserving water through an essay? So, did you understand our agreement for tomorrow's assignment? Okay. So, I think there is nothing else. Is there any addition from the class? Any ideas? There's none. And let's call it a day. Goodbye, class.